Hi, Sandra, Art Studio. It's good to see you. I don't think I've seen you here before. I'm waiting for people to get on, and we'll see. I think this is frozen. Oh, bloody hell. Is it freezing? Okay. So, I'm putting together a chat for you guys that's going to talk about some of the issues that we're dealing with in the spiritual community. And in the, I call them muggles. People that are not awakened, that are entrenched in 3D. And usually people who are entrenched in 3D are afraid of what they can't control or what they don't know. Though I do most of my content about the twin flame journey, what's escaped the notice of a lot of people on the twin flame journey, this is a serious problem, is that they don't understand that the twin flame journey encompasses multiple things about the human incarnations and non-human starseed incarnations we've had, and the balance of the planet, of this particular planet, and the cycles of the egoic incarnations we've taken on throughout these lifetimes that we've experienced, and why we've been unable to ascend on this planet. And here we are on the thresholds of it, and people are freaking the fuck out because they're afraid. And they're afraid of the unknown. So you've got a huge population that follow different orthodox teachings, religions. Huge. And we're a very small minority, us, who are in the spiritual community, that and the word New Age is actually a joke. There's nothing new about this spiritual understanding. It's ancient. It's older than the religions that currently have that are controlling the minds of others. And so right now we're on a crossroad. And unless you understand why you're in this twin flame journey in this full aspect, your union and separations are not going to, in other words, your union will not last. And those who are in lasting twin flame unions are spiritually aware and awake. And those that claim they're in a twin flame union and they're doing nefarious shit are not. It's not a twin flame union. It's just some kind of soul contract, whatever. So what I want to talk about is the fact that many of you who are in this, and I really hate the term New Age because it's such a stupid name, because it's such a lie. There's nothing new about it. It's ancient. It's as ancient as your soul. And that's pretty old. The concept of spiritual work and the twin flame journey that has you running and chasing and running, or getting to a point of realizing that this separation is for your best. Hopefully many of you are coming to that conclusion. I sure in the hell hope so, because if you're not getting to that conclusion, then you're kind of missing the point of the spiritual journey. Because ultimately the spiritual journey, in your case with the twin flame, is quite often experienced separately. And what ties and bonds you to your twin flame is this beautiful umbilical cord that creates, what a lot of humans, in these human experience call telepathy and synchronicities that are unexplainable to the average person who has never experienced that. And many call it, unfortunately they call it trauma bonding. And so ultimately, if you want to know if you're a twin flame, there are multiple things that you need to pay attention to, and you're going to have to be radically honest with yourself, because you may or may not be in a twin flame journey, and it's going to be a waste of time if you're suffering unduly for loops with soulmates, clearly, where you're being asked by the universe to pay attention to a particular connection with a soulmate. And some actually think a soulmate connection is a twin flame, and it's not. And so, because, there's that in desire and they've never felt that way before. Yeah, there are a lot of people that you're going to meet in your life that are high-level soulmates and twin flames, and each of them is unusual from the crowd. That's normal, actually. That's the human experience. And you've had it with these, I've never felt this way before, like a brotherhood with same gender or sisterhood. It didn't have to be sexual. Where the twin flame connection has to be cleared and clarified to your own, so that you're able to move forward in your spiritual journey, is so that you don't unduly loop into suffering and pining in despair and not standing up in your power and your own light to do what you were born to do as well. The twin flame journey is 1/5 of the pie. It's not the whole pie. In other words, you've got 4 other things you need to be handling in your life. And what I'm finding in the twin flame journey is that some people literally are in a state of waiting. I swear to God. They're going through the moves, automatic pilot, and they're waiting. Some consciously waiting and some unconsciously waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for them to be inspired to finally get on TikTok, I guess, or Instagram or YouTube to talk about their spiritual awakening. Because you don't have to talk about twin flames. You can talk about other things. Your understanding of what you are as a starseed, your memories and your downloads that you're getting, how meditation has helped you heal and find clarity and power in yourself. If you literally navigate your whole life around a twin flame rejecting you, or you running from your twin because you're afraid, because your twin's demanding you to be better than you are, right? Because the twin knows who you are. Well, why? Because they've been with you for hundreds of thousands of incarnations. Of course they know. They know. So when you are trapped and fear becomes your jailer, because you don't understand this connection, and because you're afraid of being out of control or being controlled by another person, your emotions, your desires, your longing, your dreams are you're wanting to be with them, and that makes you run. You're afraid of being hurt, and that makes you run. How can you be afraid of being hurt? It's an assured thing that you're going to get hurt. A person you love is going to die. You're going to lose things and gain things. You're going to get hurt, and you're also going to win. There's no doubt you're going to win at a lot of things, but you're also going to lose a lot of things. I mean, a lot of things to you. It could be a piece, I'm not joking, a piece of jewelry that really meant something to you because it was your grandmother's, or a ring your grandfather had, or a watch. It's going to hurt you. It's going to haunt you. But you got to be transcendental and realize that at some point, that ring, that whatever you've lost is not going to be, it's not going to matter when you're gone. Because in this life, some things matter because you are embodying in this particular egoic framework called John, Jill, Tony, Danielle, Jillian, Baron. It's not the whole truth of who you are as a human being, but clearly as a soul. Because here's the thing: most people don't understand. You can tap into the gold mine of all these wise, wonderful incarnations you've had. There's all this resource. There's all this incredible, delicious nectar of all these incarnations, all the lessons you've learned, but you're so entrenched, you know what I mean, in the Jill or the Joe story that you've forgotten that you were also a great warrior, a shaman, a high priestess, a courtesan, a foot soldier, a farmer, and that you were that. And most people are entrenched in what has hurt them. I had a client, I did a hypnotherapy session, and she had issues with men. And that's the norm. Okay, a lot of women have issues with men, and men have issues with women. Just to be fair, to balance it out, let's be fair. For the right reasons, by the way, okay? But when she saw herself as a good farmer, as a man, it shocked the shit out of her. She was shocked. I'm a man, oh my God, with a beard. And she was a good husband. She loved her wife. She had a great marriage as a man. See, and something shifted in her, in the acknowledgement that, yes, there are good men. In fact, she was one of them. She's been a good man. By the way, in the 1880s, when you would have thought there would be a lot more misogyny, right? So when you become transcendental. Do you understand? That's what transcendental self-realization helps you in, constantly toggling between the human experience called the Tony experience, which is, and while you're doing that, becoming transcendental as a soul, going, yeah, Tony feels X, Y, and Z right now, and Tony needs to do X, Y, and Z to be more balanced, and Tony needs to be a witness to the Tony experience. And that's really important for you guys to take time to shut yourself, your egoic framework that can become your jailer or your liberator. Really, fear is a double-edged sword. It can jail you, or it can herald a moment of incredible, powerful growth where you jump into fear. You're like, fuck it, I'm afraid of public speaking, let me fucking do it. And that's a huge growth, you know what I mean? Things of that, I'm going to go to a foreign country, and I don't know the fucking language, but I'm doing it anyway. Great, that's a soul's growth. That's pushing through this membrane of the egoic framework that you embody in this particular incarnation, and that we've embodied in many, many incarnations. And many of us in the Western world, okay, have preferred to have more incarnations in the Western world, and there's some traps to that. And so you got to be aware, and constantly, like, slap your egoic framework down, your monkey mind down. Does that make sense so far? So there are people in the spiritual community who are giving up because, you can't look at what's going on in Palestine and the Congo and different parts of the world, right? When you see children mining cobalt, and here I am holding a phone. I'm not, I'm not above it. And as a spiritual person, not fucking give up. Because you're like, what the fuck? How long is this going to last, where we have slavery still in parts of the world? Still going on, by the way. Still going on. I can tell you a story of when I lived with my family in, I believe it was Algiers. Yeah, Algiers. And my mom was making dinner for a couple. They had brought their little girl, servant girl. She was a slave. She had been sold to them. And they didn't want her to eat. And my mom said, no, she eats. It was in the 1960s. So none of that has changed. Nothing's changed. And none of us are really making moves on those changes in real ways, in real time. So the spiritual community is seeing that. And many, many shamans today have been shamans before. High priests, high priestesses, druidesses. And they were hunted down like dogs when the Orthodox teachings came into play. Do you understand? So many of you have these powers, and they're like simmering flames within you. But you're afraid that you're not ready, that it's not time, that you got to get your ducks in a row. What will your family say? Well, they're your family in this incarnation. As the Dalai Lama said, you've all been my mother. He's saying, oh, you've all been my mother. That means even the criminals have been his mother. Does that make sense so far? So the twin flame journey is not just all about the bubble love. Okay? It's about a lot more than that. And ultimately, if we love this planet, and that's the part, many of you guys, and I was the same way, so don't get me wrong, I wanted to just get off this, like, I just want to go home. I get it. We're all homesick, But that doesn't mean that you don't make sure that the next generation that comes in doesn't get a better planet than what you had. We have to leave this place, okay, better than when we got it. It's our duty. And I think that some of these there's a particular woman I'm thinking of, fabulous shaman, energetic woman, who is broken and who got a message that said, pack your shit and let's get going. And one of my clients actually sent me the link. And I watched it. I actually follow her. And I'm not judging her. I get it. And I have to caution you guys, because a lot of us are going to get some weird ass message that seem like it's divine messages, and they're not. They're not. And the reason I know that is because in the last, say, 90 days, I've been getting some weird visitations. Weird. Not good. Very negative. Very dense visitations. Okay. And I started feeling that way about 120 days ago, where I started calling on my archangels to protect me as bodyguards. They walk beside me. 4, actually 5, to be honest. 5. I call on them every day. And I call on them to protect my son and my twin. Because the energy right now is fucking, we are being tested. We are being beaten on the anvil right now. We're being beaten on the anvil, plunged into the fire, back into the water, and formed. We're being formed. And so if we allow fear and negative entities to come in with these weird messages of finality and apocalyptic, truth, like messages of apocalyptic endings and so forth, we're missing the point. And so we have to rise above it. And we can, because really in our truth sense of truth, of who we truly are as energetic beings, multidimensional light beings, is that we are 70, 60, 70, 80, 90. We've been there. The minute you come into these bodies, it's so fucking dense. I remember when I did the grandfather peyote, and the grandfather came to me and said, and I saw him, by the way, and I know I saw him because I told another Wicca chick, a friend of mine, and said to her, and we started comparing notes. I go, holy shit, you saw him too? Yep, that's what he looks like. We were both in agreement of what he looked like. Anyway, and he said to me, we really want you to ascend, because when we come here, it's like going through boulders of rocks and more cement, more boulders of rocks. It's like our nose are clogged, using terms I would understand as a human, right? And we can't, it's so dense. We want you to ascend. It's all we want is for you to ascend, which is ironic because Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it in his interview with Lilu Ma on working with giants. He mentions that. He has a healing room, and the giant light beings who are healers come to Joe and say, look, the room, can you raise the frequency, man? Because the room is so heavy. And we will not lower ourselves any more than we have. We love ourselves too much, because if we do, we will lose our consciousness. Okay, so there you go on the amnesia factor of being incarnated in the human experience. So my point is that while we are in fear, by the way, fearful things will bring in weird entities. If anyone's ever used a Ouija board, I think we've all, I think we've all done it. I know I did it at 14, and I swear to God, what came into that room with me and other girls, all 14 years old, I never touched the board again, ever. Fucking never. Because what comes in is real. And they're lower dense entities. So you got to be really, really careful, okay, on what you're doing. Thank you for posting that. So you can either, we're talking about it, Jillian. Thank you. I saw her too and thought the same thing. A good thug princess. Thank you. And I'm not putting her down. I love her. I think she's brilliant. But I also know that we are being attacked. I'm not kidding. Okay. And I'm calling my archangel. I'm not kidding at all. I will not do anything until I start, like the minute I wake up in the morning. And I've been getting these weird, violent imagers, and all I could figure, to be honest, is that I'm getting stuff from what's happening in Palestine and other part of the world. I'm being real with you guys, and I feel like I'm picking up on the carnage. And then I'm also getting the energy of these low density beings that feed on this energy. David Icke talked about it. He talked about it for years, decades. He started talking about it, I think, late 70s, early 80s. No joke. We all know a lot of things now. We have these phones. Why do you think we're given these phones with cameras where we're filming shit? And we have a choice. We can film the next dance craze, or we can film what's happening to people who are suffering and animals who are suffering, to educate and enlighten people. Self-realization is our duty. Self-realization, not following some guru that's got 33 Rolls Royces and one covered in gold, or some other dude who's got, he's convincing everyone that you need to be polyamorous, and it's all, what I mean? The minute it goes sexual for their own, that's not a guru, okay? That's a charlatan. So you're responsible for the self-realization. And Yeshua, there's a beautiful little line, and I'm paraphrasing it because I don't remember it, to be honest with you, but I remember the essence of it. It's in the book The Gnostic Gospels by Elaine Pagel, who's a Princeton professor in Princeton. Obviously, I'm repeating myself, but anyway, she had gone over the Nag Hammadi, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and so forth, and came up with this incredible book, The Gnostic Gospels. And in it, I forgot who asked, but he says, but one of the apostles says, why do you prefer her above us, right? Why do you kiss her? Because he's kissing her, apparently. Yeshua is kissing Mary Magdalene. And he says, because she is, the essence he was saying is because she's more fucking spiritually advanced than you guys are. You're still playing the old gender games. You're still playing the games of orthodox beliefs, of lower and better and lower and less. That's basically what he's saying. She was his equal. She was his twin ray. You see? They were equals. They just happened to be in different bodies, different genders. And that was it. So some of these things, and he was trying to teach us back then. Some of you guys could have actually been there and seen him. There's a great movie you guys should watch called The Seventh Seal with Demi Moore. Check it out. Check out that movie. It's really fucking amazing. There is no hope. There is no time to be hopeless. The minute all of us decide to throw it, just throw the towel in, we're missing the point of the journey. We're missing it. And the minute we say, I just want to go home, I want to get the fuck off this planet, we're missing the point. I used to be that person. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I'm not judging anybody. No one's less than that. In fact, I think it's a rite of passage to go through that and hopefully come out the other side going, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? It's not the planet that's the problem. It's the people and the infrastructure that are the problem. And all of that is part of the twin flame journey. And that's why I get somewhat irritated when people just want, the Ken and Barbie story. I'm irritated. That's why hustlers like Twin Flame Universe could do what they did. Because people wanted the Ken and Barbie story and not the true story. Does that make sense? That's why they got away with it. And they became rich off it. Because people want the Ken and Barbie story. People don't want to hear the truth. And Yeshua, you guys should go on Astral Legends on YouTube. Look up Astral Legends on YouTube. Look up what he talks about Yeshua. Some German dude went to a Tibetan monastery and found scrolls that showed that a man called Yeshua, swear to God, look it up, had been there. So there was another book that I read when I was about 17 called Jesus Lived in India. There's a lot of stories about this man literally nomadically going to these places to learn so that he could come back and turn water into wine, to become an alchemist and to heal the unhealed, right? Turning a blind man that could see. It's possible. All of that is not woohoo shit. It's possible. I've heard of a healer, I kid you not, and Regina Meredith has a lot of wonderful healers that come on, and she's got a bullshit meter that's pretty solid. So when she gets somebody on the show that's solid, I know she vetted them out. She knows they're for real. So when she gets like a Chandler, she knows they're not full of shit, okay? So anyway, she had this guy who literally could heal by touch, literally, and I mean touch, like boom, his finger, boom, gone. There are people like that. They exist. And the thing about the reality of the society we live in today is if Yeshua won't walk, if he walked around today as he was then, we wouldn't believe him anyway. We'd think he was, and even if he showed all of the humility and yet the power, the grace of a lion and the sensitivity of a lamb, all of that, right? We wouldn't believe him anyway. And so a lot of the things that are going on in society, the homelessness, we are being tested to see what is our humanity. Are we humane? And that's part of the twin flame journey. And I don't know why people don't get it. They think it's the bubble love, the sex, the companionship. That'll come. But we always get tested. Even Yeshua and Mary Magdalene were tested, right? So that's one example. Does anybody have any questions? Any question? I'm so tired of this defeating energy. The Seventh Sign, I will watch it. Yeah, The Seventh Sign with Debbie Moore is a hell of a good movie. Watch the end. The end of that movie where she It's an incredible movie, actually. Happy Thursday. So thank God, no thank you God, but also that, I guess, Lowell, how do we know how many life partners we have? What do you mean how many life partners we have? I'm not sure of the question. Some of us have 2 life partners and some of us have 3. Yeah, you need to chant. This morning I had to chant Om Namah Shivaya again and again and again. I don't know why. My consciousness was really, and I could feel it wasn't mine. You see what I'm saying? You can tell that you're being fucked with because it's not yours. It's not your default. I have other fucked up thoughts, but it wasn't that one. Those were not my thoughts. And it has a lot to do. I did it in the shower. Very, very good, because the water's going to magnify that. I think I'm going to do that too, actually. But it's real. So, Tony, will you chant a little? Oh, Shiva. Okay. I can do that a little bit. So the way I do is Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Anyway, so you're doing it with me. Awesome. Good. Fabulous. So we lost about 10 people. Anyway, so what I need each and every one of you to do, you're welcome, you're so sweet. I know sometimes I cry too, is to not drink the Kool-Aid. Not allow yourself to fall into despair. Talk about what you think is important to talk about. Okay? In other words, don't be polite anymore, because it's gotten us here. It's funny, my mom used to tell my son, well, he needs to be respectful of elders. I went, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Respect is something you earned. See, I didn't want my son to think that because a person was older, he would have to listen and to do anything the adult wanted without question. See, that's a form of brainwashing. This is why pedophiles get away with shit. Because we're the first forefront of people who teach our children to respect the elder. No, respect is something you earn. So what you're going to find is that you come out of the gate as a lion and you start speaking the truth, which is objective, and your truth, which is your own experience. And with diplomacy, there's an old saying by Winston Churchill. I love that saying. It says, tell them diplomacy. That's how he puts it. Diplomacy is telling someone to go to hell and having them looking forward to the trip. One of the greatest lines I ever heard. And that's going to be your job. But at the end of the day, you're telling them to go fuck themselves. Okay? Because you need to now stand up and say what you feel is right and wrong on the planet. All arms on deck. It's not a joke now. We're coming to a place where we're losing children, and they're not just children in the Middle East. There are children in Africa dying. Most of them don't make it past the age of 12. There are children in this country starving. And meanwhile, we have places like, other stores, I won't mention the major, throwing food away. Throwing food away. Bakeries not allowed to donate their day-old goods or 2-day-old goods to the homeless. You know what I mean? Like a homeless person should be able to get that food. They shouldn't have to come and show their ID, because most of them don't have IDs, and show that to get food from the food banks. That shouldn't be a requirement. They should be able to go to the back of a restaurant, the back of a place, and get the food. That should be a no-brainer. I believe in France they do that. where the bread is left outside, in big bags, and it's picked up, and also it's dispersed to people who need it. You know what I mean? Okay, she should have a video on her main page or YouTube. Om Namah Shivaya. Can someone type out that chant, please? Oh, thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jillian, for typing it out. It's on my TikTok page. It's right there. I actually, it's right there. It's a chant. Okay, so you guys can look it up. There, it actually says, it's called Om Namah Shivaya. You'll see the chant. It's got a picture of a tree, and you can check it out. And then you can sing to it, because, chanting mantras should be fun. It shouldn't be a pain in the ass to chant. It should be, sing along, type of thing. Any other questions on your duty for yourself and for there's another beautiful energy and philosophy that I love, that I wish I could give credit to, but it's been passed around for probably centuries, is the idea of planting trees, fruit trees that you will not be alive to eat fruit from. You see? So we have to get to that point. Many of us won't come back. I'm not joking. Many of us are going to go 5D, and we're going to go onto other planets, other realms, and we will not come back to this planet Earth if we do our work until it is on a 5D spectrum, and that's it. So, but we have to stop saying, I can't wait to get the fuck out of here. You are getting out of here. Don't worry. It's like a done deal. You're not going to survive. You're not immortal. Your body's not immortal. You are, but not the body. So you don't have to worry. But while you're here, you need to roll up your sleeve and get things done. And get really real about your videos. Talk about shit I'm thinking of doing another channel to talk about my political views and my and how they intertwine with our spiritual journey, because I don't want to add that to my particular page. You know what I'm saying? But I know that it's coming to a point where those two are spirituality. Unfortunately, is wrapped up in politics. And you got to look at that, because, see, us spiritual people, we want simple lives. We don't want to have to pay taxes on our land. We want to be able to buy land and or trade for land and not be bothered. If I want to put a shack up on my land, I want to be able to do it. If I want to bury my loved ones on my land, I don't want to ask your permission. So in other words, there's infrastructures that are political that are intertwined with our the lifestyle that us as spiritual people want to live, experience. So it's all interconnected. See, and that's, I think, again, what people don't understand. And the twin flame journey is the activator. It's the activation. It's like me plugging in my phone. My phone is worthless unless I plug it into the cord, into the wall, to get the electricity, to get it to wake up. The phone doesn't wake up. Okay? So, does that make sense? So that's what we're being asked to do at this point in this particular timeline. Okay? It is. I've chanted it with you, but I wanted to put it in my notes. I gotcha. I'm going to meditate. Okay, so Jillian left, which is good. So you guys meditate on what I'm talking about here. If you don't mind, meditate on what I'm talking about here, because what's going on around the world is part of your twin flame journey, spiritual journey. No twin flame in union isn't doing some heavy lifting right now. Some shamanic work, some healing work of some kind. Even if you're an attorney and you take on some cases for free, right? Because it's the right thing to do. Even if you're a plastic surgeon and there's a kid whose face got, acid thrown on them, and you're providing that service for free, right? That's healing work. And that is a message, because that usually gets on social media in some aspect, and other plastic surgeons are being put under notice. Hey, this guy can do it for free. He's going to Mexico or Africa to help people with prosthetics or whatever because of landmines left behind, right? He's doing it for free. Why aren't you getting off your ass and doing something that is going to help other people so they can actually do other things to help other people? So no matter what you are and what you do for a living, there is something for you. And that's why meditation is important. People ask me, well, how do you know I'm on my mission? How do I know I'm on my mission? Meditate. Allow yourself to be divinely guided by power. And if you're walking in your light, and you have love in your heart, and you want to be of service, the universe will actually escort you to your particular niche, right? So you don't have to worry. You don't have to stamp your feet and get impatient and go, well, when does it start? It starts now. It starts with you meditating, getting your downloads, opening your third eye, realizing that maybe the separation between you and your twin is for you to get your shit together, get empowered, get awakened, so that you can become transcendental. So when your twin runs back into you with the same old freaking patterns, you've become so enlightened, self-realized to some level, that you know exactly how to handle them now, so that they can heal, and then they'll run again, but now they're running with some tools, light tools. It's all interconnected. Every single move is interconnected. And that's why you will either come to people like me that talk this, and it's unpleasant. It's like taking your medicine. It's like the medicine is eat your spinach. No, we're not getting a McDonald's. No, we're not, sweetie pie. No, we're not doing that, sweetie. No, you're gonna eat your spinach. We're gonna go on a hike. We're gonna go and lay out nude in the sun. We're going to meditate again. We're gonna allow downloads to come. We're gonna clean and purge energy out of us. We're going to bring in new light energy that empowers us. Eat your spinach. Eat your avocado, baby. Okay, no, we're not getting a chocolate cake today. Not today. And so that's what's happening. And so the people that want their chocolate cake and their sugary drinks and their soda pop and the champagne and the, twin flame journey, and I want a Chanel bag for $1,300. And I think I was that girl. I was spiritually aware, but I was that girl. And I'm like, today, you can put a, to my head and make me buy a Chanel bag. I think they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But I'll probably resell it. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with looking beautiful and getting that beautiful lipstick and taking care of yourself on that level. That's not what I'm saying. There's time for that, but it can't be all that. It can't be your entire life. That can't be all that you're obsessed with, is getting the right perfume. That can't be. You can wear that beautiful lipstick on a hike and meditate. You got to learn how to do that, okay? You can still be a badass looking chick or a fabulous looking man lifting weights or swimming or calisthenics or whatever you like to do to take care of your beautiful temple. But it can't be the only thing you do. Not now, not anymore. We're being asked to step up. Adam Apollo was being interviewed on a show on Gaia.com. You can check it out. You can just look up Adam Apollo. And he was at Burning Man. And in Burning Man, he met, I'm not joking, okay? The man's not crazy. He's an energy power. And he calls himself a Syrian ambassador. He's a starseed. Anyway, there was... He telepathically talked to a starseed, an alien, what you'll call an alien, what we call starseeds, a starseed. And because Burning Man is Burning Man, no one was paying attention to the fact that she was definitely not in costume and that she definitely had things on her face that were not makeup, okay? Because it's Burning Man, the nature, she could actually walk around and actually not be flagged. But she spoke to him telepathically and said, show us if these humans are worth saving. And so he talks about walking on the playa and trying to find people, to show this starseed and the Galactic Council that human beings are worth saving. And so he came across a girl, fighting a jealous rage with her boyfriend because he'd been staring at this girl. So he saw jealousy. And then he saw other people arguing over something else. And he was like, oh my God, please help me find some people. Please, God, help me find some people. And the sun was rising. And as it rose over the playa, people stopped and looked and awed and clapped at the beauty of the sun rising. And all of this love started emanating, vibrationally speaking, across the playa. And this starseed nodded her head. I'm paraphrasing. I'm remembering it a little bit. I'm not saying it correctly, but if you want to look at that interview, it's Adam Apollo on Gaia.com. You can watch the full interview. It's fantastic. My point is that we have to show to our own ancestors who are starseeds that this is worth saving and that this can actually transform itself. And yes, that's part of the twin flame journey. That's why we have Krishna Radha, the masculine, feminine, non-gender specific. That's why there are women falling in love with women and men falling in love with men. It's never happened to them before. They've been straight. The soul is the soul. Let's understand. However, with that said, we've always had Isis, Osiris, Krishna, Radha, Yeshua, Mary Magdalena. We always have the divine masculine, divine feminine. The balance of the beauty of these two energies. And we have to show that we are worthy of saving this planet and to escort them. It is our job to escort this planet into 5D realm. And if we decide to throw in the towel, we will go into a Mad Max society. There's no doubt. Look at the world. Look at. I don't know about you guys, but in California, the fucking homelessness, there are villages. I'm not kidding. Hamlets. There's got to be 600-700 people. That's basically called a village or a hamlet. They could have their own fucking zip code. Okay, that's how bad it is. And that is part of the twin flame journey. And if you guys want to have the sugary drinks and the bubble love, there are people who will take your money, who will coach you, and who will give you the bullshit. And you'll be happy as hell. You'll be happy as hell until you realize it was all bullshit because you can't sustain it. No one can tell you a twin flame is going to happen and that you're going to be in union. No one. Is it written in the stars? Yes. In the Akashic records, there's that story that happens. But people have free will to the point their free will is can be so harmful that people unalive themselves. I hate that word. Suicide themselves. Okay? That's what free will can get you. That's free will, by the way. And so what we want to make sure is that you're going to be okay with or without your twin, and you're going to be in your journey with or without your twin, because at some point, even if you are in journey, let's say the story of Mary Magdalene and Yeshua is true, and he did die. Let's just assume. She was alone for a long time. She gave birth to their child, and she was alone. Okay? A long, long time. And continued the work. She had to. Okay? So you have to learn how to be enough unto yourself. Not in an egoic way, not in a weird way like that. In a free-spirited way. In your truest sense of self. But even lone wolves have to join the pack at some time. Okay? What do you think? Any thoughts on that? Anything or comments or shares? So I'm going to post this on YouTube if you guys want to listen to it, because I think this message is important. So I'll post it on YouTube. Anything else you guys want to share? Can your twin flame siphon your divine energy and leave you feeling empty? No, actually. No. And I'll tell you why. Because the minute your twin flame comes back, you feel all this energy. So the energy is your egoic framework. And so in a sense, what they can do though in the siphoning of the energy, I'll explain a little more in detail, is when you feel them telepathically in their depression and your empathic antennas are up and you're feeling that the depression, you can feel them having sex with someone else. And again, it's an egoic framework. You understand? So what I mean is, if you were not in the body of the human experience, they wouldn't be able to siphon shit. You'd feel it. You'd hope that they were going to do better. If you were on the other side, like guiding them, you know what I'm saying? Because there are twin flames that are dying right now. And they're still connected. Like I saw an interview, me and my twin watched an interview last night with Iman and David Bowie. She doesn't consider herself a widow. As far as she's concerned, she's still married to David Bowie. She still has a relationship with David Bowie. And my twin said, yeah, love forever. You know, and he agreed with that. And so I don't think that some of you that's going to be true, because some of you will need a companion. And some of you will need to have children with high-level soulmates, or hopefully your twin. But if your twin is hell-bent on losing, you better not go down that rabbit hole with your twin, because then you've lost this opportunity to help your twin in the long-term goal. And the long-term goal is, if you can get to a higher level of self-realization and transcendental acceptance of your truest self, then in the long run, in this life or the next, your twin will actually eventually be rubber banded to you, meaning they'll snap to you. Do you understand? Frequency-wise, because everything you do feeds your twin. And at some point in this life or the next, you will see the fruits of your labor. You see? And that's why I tell my clients, don't wait for your twin to start your life. Like, don't do that. And when you can't date other people or meet other people, even though you've tried, but you can't, you're shut down, you can't, or you don't want to, or you want to, but you can't. Just trust that silence as well, is to give you space, not to be troubled. Well, is he going to text me? Is she going to text me back? Was the sex as good for them as for me? In other words, all that nonsense, right? The shenanigans of dating is going to be pushed away from you so that you can actually work on certain aspects. And I don't mean work on yourself like on a small scale. I'm saying big scale, meaning putting yourself out there, writing a book, writing an article, writing poetry that touches people, singing, acting, whatever. You're being pushed to step into your light, full on. The dimmer switch is now broken. It's full on light. It's either on or off. And so that's what you're being asked to do when you go into separation. It's never a mistake. You see what I'm saying? Because what I've seen with my clients across the world is, when they're not supposed to be together, the universe will split you apart. I had a client that was in Dubai and her twin was in Ireland. And they had been together. They got a blow up. They blew up, right? They had a fight, whatever. Misunderstanding, actually. And but the doors blew open to throw him out into another continent, for Christ's sakes. And she's got her job and he's got his stuff, and money and whatever else you can imagine is preventing them from being in union, which is what happened to me and my twin for 2.5 years. It was money, it was desire not to, fear. We can't mess this up. And then finally it was time to come into union. But I had by now laid out my foundation, a new foundation. I'd poured my brand new foundation that was really true, the truest foundation I'd ever stood on in this incarnation. And from my conversations I'm having with him, and so did he. And it was necessary. And both of us had to be humbled. Yeah. Yes, I am, Pauline. How do you learn to trust others again? Well, first of all, you need to trust yourself. Because when you go through the shit show that is a twin flame journey and the separation and so forth, what happens is that you actually you start, it's you that you don't trust you. You don't have to trust other people, my friend, at all. You need to learn how to trust yourself, because when you trust yourself, you'll stand in front of someone and go, they're full of shit, and it'll be immediate, and you won't, oh no, she's so nice, give it a chance. No, she's so good. And you're like, nope. Full of shit. Not doing it. Not meeting with her. Not doing a business deal with her or him. Not dating him. Sound of the voice. First sound of the voice. Full of shit. Done. That's it. You don't need to go down that rabbit hole. Well, maybe I'm wrong. See, that's the main problem most people have. They'll let themselves, their monkey mind will talk themselves out of the initial hit, and friends. Well-meaning family and friends. Oh, but you should. He's so nice. Your father knew his father. Date him. It's just a dinner. And you're like, no, I heard his voice. I don't like it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Leave me alone. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So first trust yourself, and then you'll trust your feelings about how you feel about people, and then you'll be able to actually gather people who are trustworthy. Doesn't that make sense? That's the main thing you got to learn. And you got to teach that to your kids. So, and here we go with it. You got there. Anyway, I'm just going to ignore it. So, does that answer your question? What about when the obstacle is children? Actually, it shouldn't be an obstacle, because those children could have very well been a part of your soul group. Again, transcendental thinking, my friend. I'm not saying they are, but I would say you should at least look at that. Okay, so that's what I would do if I were you. What are those children? Because they're not the obstacles. What can you do to build trust back with yourself then? I just kind of told you. So I just told you. I will post this video on YouTube, but I just actually spent a good 10 minutes telling you how to, I think it was 5 minutes of telling you how to do it. So what I need you to learn how to do, Squishy, is when you're listening to somebody who's actually telling you something that's going to help you, you may want to close your eyes, still your body, stop doing anything, and listen with your body. When I do readings for people and I'm about to read something to them, or I tell them, do me a favor, close your eyes and listen with your body. When I do a reading for someone and it's getting heavy and I can tell, you know what, how I can tell it's getting heavy? Because they're fucking moving around. I can tell they're moving around. They're moving a pencil. They're walking back and I'm like, and I'll tell them, stop walking, please sit down. Your soul doesn't want to hear it. Your ego doesn't want to hear it. Not the soul, excuse me. I corrected it. Your ego doesn't want to hear what I'm about to say. Because it's heavy. And so stillness, okay, quiet within yourself will help you hear what you need to hear. That's why sometimes when you're talking to someone on the phone, it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to close your eyes so you can hear, you really hear them. Because the average person, I heard this from a psychologist, and I know it's true. That's why I say things fucking 5 different ways to people sometimes. People only hear 15%, 15% of what you're saying. 15. That's why, knowing that is a problem in me, when I buy a book like Journey of Souls or whatever, I listen to that book 5, 6, 7, 10 times. Then I'll put it aside, then I'll do it again. Because I do Audible, a lot of Audible. I'll read the book again and again and again and again and again and again because I want to really hear it. It's not a race. It's knowledge. It's divine knowledge when you read from some of these heavy hitters. So what I tell people is if you're really having an intense conversation, you may want to close your eyes. Do you still trigger each other from time to time? No. Isn't that weird? No, not yet. Not yet. I'm starting to understand why he does X, Y, and Z. Or ABC. I'm starting to understand. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing the triggers and chanting through the triggers. So that's why we're not triggering each other anymore. Because I'm not allowing it to erupt out of me. Because at the end of the day, we're not. If I allow myself to get triggered, we're not going to win. And he's not triggering himself either. When he says something, whatever that may be negative, I'll say, you should chant. And he says, you're right. I'm going to. so because that's true. Does that make sense? So yeah. Okay. So let me see. So that's why for me, I trust what I feel. Any other questions or comments or shares? Hello, can I just walk away from Twin Flame Journey if the other twin is not wanting to heal? Yeah, of course you can. And you will. And you will be allowed to do that because the universe will protect you and project you out of the connection. But the Twin Flame Journey continues in other... They're saying to say... My guys are saying to say in parallel universes. It continues. So you might as well do what you need to do. You probably need some time out, and it's all good. My twin ran yesterday out of nowhere. Does that mean I still have work to do? Your twin ran out of nowhere. If I were you, I would ask myself, when he came back, did you just go right into the bubble love, or did you guys actually have some real spiritual conversations about ascension? Not about twin flames. The worst thing you can do is tell a 3D twin that you're a twin. That to me is like insane. The first thing you want to do when a twin returns is to have real spiritual conversations about the ascension, about soul connections, and I wouldn't even talk about us. I'd say, what do you think? Why do you think you chose your parents when you incarnated here? If they don't believe in reincarnation, you've got your works, really, you've got a lot of work to do for them. I would get them Journey of Souls. I would get them into hypnotherapy. So, and hypnotherapy for past life regressionists. So you don't ever tell people, that you're a twin flame. I don't know why people, I know there's some coaches that say, tell them you're a twin flame. And we're talking about fear here. And fear of the unknown. And they're going to think you're a kook. I'm just being really honest with you. They're going to think you're a nut. It's bad enough if they don't believe in reincarnation as it is. That has to start. Because if they don't believe in reincarnation, how the fuck are they going to believe you're a twin flame? Come on, think about it. Think about it. If they don't believe in reincarnation, which is the twin flame journey, it's soulmate journey, it's soul contract journey. It starts with reincarnation. If that foundational piece isn't laid out first, there's no point in having a twin flame conversation. That is ridiculous. And it's not going to make you win. It's going to make you lose. And it's going to actually create a situation. Hey, how are you, Two Birds? Two Birds has her own channel as well. You may want to check her out as well on her work on the twin flame journey. She's on a twin flame journey. She talks about her own experiences. So mine didn't believe me when I told him about the number. I told him mine. I know who he is to me, and he should look up twin flames. Yeah, bad idea. On reincarnation, you believe that we can be an animal in a past life. Thank you, Tony. So good to hear you. On reincarnation, I think that, I saw somebody actually having a past life regression where they were an animal. I think it was a bear or something. And I think that we can actually walk into animal bodies. There's a concept of walk-ins that I've been not talking about too much because it's woohoo for a lot of people, though for me it's nonchalant. And I did talk about it yesterday, actually, a little bit. Yeah, I did mention it. But, I think we can walk into animal bodies. I do. And I think people do. And especially upon death, I think they will embody a bird, typically. A hawk, a crow, an eagle. And I think we've walked into bodies of animals before, yes. But I don't think we incarnate as animals. We walk into that body and we do whatever the hell we want to experience or whatever, and then we leave it. But we don't stay in those bodies. And I think sometimes we do it probably to understand unconditional love. You know what I mean? Because we certainly, the first time I ever tasted unconditional love, as I've said before in my lives, is through ayahuasca. So how can you give yourself unconditional love if you've never tasted it? I personally had never tasted it. So that's where it started for me. My daughter thinks she's a wolf. She howls and sometimes walks in fours. I gotcha. She's 9. Yeah, well, that's normal. I used to think I used to play. I never thought I was a horse, but I loved being a horse when I was a kid. So, it would make sense, especially because a cat showed up and nowhere after my ex passed. Yep. Hey, Tony, guess what? My twin never reads books, was talking about the power of now. He said he has it. Wonderful. That's what I'm saying. And the cat disappeared about a month later. Yep, they do that. So that happens a lot. And there's value to that. And when you look at this, the energy that's happening right now across the world, the homelessness, the violence against our children here in our country and around the world with wars, energetically speaking, you guys, you have to understand that as you talk about the spiritual journey, you need to kind of like sprinkle some of that truth into it. Because if these people keep going with the Ken and Barbie story, we're fucked. Okay, I'm not joking. The nice thing, the good news is, thank God there's a revolving door. There's like a conveyor belt of twin flames being introduced constantly. While you guys are in separation, a new twin flame has just met. I kid you not. A new twin flame set has just met. They're 19 years old. Or she's 19 and he's 25. Or she's, she's, I don't know, 35 and he's 19. I'm not joking. And they just met. And they're lovers. Because the sex is going to bring that in. And then the real shit starts happening. The real spiritual unraveling. The questioning. The real questions. Oh, why did he leave me for another woman? The question is, what karmically is he needing to learn? What soul contract do you have to learn with this other woman? I can't tell you how many times in a twin flame third party, the husband or the wife is a soulmate. And so that means you guys are all related as souls. You all, as a clan, came in and said, okay, so you're going to screw up. We're going to be married. We're going to have children. Then you're going to meet your twin flame. It's going to really fuck up this marriage. But I know this marriage was screwed up in the first place. But that twin flame is going to wake you up. And all hell's going to break loose. And we'll either save the marriage because your twin flame will still be broken. Or the marriage will finally end. I talk about that all the time in my videos if you want to check it out. And that's what you guys need to understand, is that the twin flame is it's that plug. You got plugged in, your phone got lit up, and you've got your charge at 100%. And what you do with that 100% of self-realization is really a responsibility that you can't just scatter. This is not the 1800s. It's not even 2,000 years ago where you could kind of, like kick rocks and fuck around and, oh, here comes the Huns. I guess today I'm going to die. Here comes the Huns. They're burning my crops. They've killed my wife and children. I'm next. That was reality. People lived and died like, you could have 3 or 4 lifetimes in a 100-year period. That was quite common. You know what I mean? We're almost like vampires. If you've ever read, you know why I love Anne Rice? Because the way she wrote about vampires, she taught people how to talk about vampires. But what she talked about was also the soul going through different eras. And you and I have seen, some of you have seen the fax machine. You've seen these big ass phones that first came in that was cellular, right? I remember my dad had a cellular phone in a briefcase, and he could make phone calls out of it. This was in the late 1960s. You've seen things. I remember when the internet came out, I was software sales. I was in my 30s. And I remember calling Victoria's Secrets. I kid you not. To let us set up them a website. This was 1998. And I wanted to sell them a website. And I remember talking to them, Madison, these are college-educated people telling me they had no idea where the internet was going to go, okay? And now you know. Here, you got the internet. You got everything in your back pocket. That's why people freak out when they lose their phone. They freak the fuck out. Their whole world's in this thing. And there are people using it to actually heal other people. And there are other people doing it to harm other people, as you well know, the dark web. And so you've seen all of the evolutions that we've had as human beings in the last 100 years. That's unprecedented. We've never seen anything like it. And so for people to think we're going to throw in the towel and just walk away and here comes the apocalypse and it's over is crazy. And so if you keep thinking about your twin in desperation, instead of saying, oh, he ran, here he goes, he's running again. Okay, well, let me go through my depression because I need to feel my feelings. But I'm going to give myself a deadline. And I got shit to do. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out and I'm going to be in mission. And if I can't be happy, then I'm going to make sure damn straight that I'm going to make other people happy, find their happiness. And honestly, that's what I did. And I think that it's a recipe. It's like getting your grandmother's favorite chocolate cake recipe. And this is my recipe that I'm realizing. I'm realizing when you are really in mission and you really want others to be happy, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to die at some point. I'll go home and I'll be fine. I'll meet my twin on the other side. I'm good. I mean, I'm not good, but I'm going to make it right. And you're really going to, your urge to help other people be happy and find their happiness and connect, make sure to give them everything you can to help them, right? In some aspect, which is what I did. And boom, there he is. And I've been laughing. I didn't even realize I'd stopped laughing. And I'm getting my son saying, wow, you're smiling. I had a friend who hadn't seen me in a year ago. Oh my God, you're smiling a lot. Yeah. So I get it. But I was also surrendering to us not being together. And because he's so much older than me, he's 15 years older than me, I have to also understand that every moment we have with each other in this body, in these bodies, are important. Just as important as when we drop our bodies and we meet on the other side again. But it feels to me like we've crossed the Rubicon and we've crossed that bridge to the ascension, to the next level of our incarnations in the next incarnations, probably in other planets, other dimensions, planets. So all we need to do, him and I, is not allow us to get so triggered that it blows up. And even if we get triggered, to literally make sure that we honestly look at it and heal it, diffuse it, purge it. Does that make sense? And that's going to be probably the last part of the journey. How normal is it to see through my twin's eyes? Has happened twice now. Very intense. I think a lot of things that are considered abnormal is the problem. To answer your question like that, because I think a lot of experiences that people are having is freaking them out because it's considered abnormal in society, in the society's normalcy of us not using our brains to our full capacity, not having telepathy, not calling our DNA junk DNA, which is being activated. And as it gets activated, a lot of things are it's going to frighten the shit out of people, to be honest. But it's going to be normal. Like levitating is normal. Seeing through somebody, remote viewing is normal. That's basically what's happening. You should watch the movie The Eyes of Laura Mars. There are a lot of movies in Hollywood because, they're supposed to tell us stuff. Did you know that? Part of the spiritual dynamics and the laws of the universe is that if you're going to screw someone over, they got to give you a warning. They got to give you in a book. But they always hide it behind horror movies and so forth. So The Eyes of Laura Mars, Two Birds, is what I would suggest you watch with Faye Dunaway. The Eyes of Laura Mars. Watch it. None of this shit is abnormal. What's abnormal and not part of our makeup as souls is fear. This is definitely a 3D egoic issue. Fear. Unless it becomes your ally. Watch my video on make death your advisor, fear your ally. Okay? But nothing is abnormal. How will the lunar eclipse and full moon Saturday affect twin flame separation? I think that it's important for you guys to do as much manifesting 369 as you can. And if you are in a place of despair, you will actually, unfortunately, generate more of that. So if you put yourself in the right frame, the mindfulness, and you guys look at your life with your twin as if it's happening now, the way you want it to be, not what it is in separation, but the way it is in a parallel universe, by the way. You got to trust that too. Then you'll be co-creating a future that is in the now. That's why the book, The Power of Now, is a pretty damn fucking awesome book, and practicing the power of now. That's why meditation is so beautiful, especially open-eyed meditation as well. When you do an open-eyed meditation in front of a candle, a plant, staring something, admiring something, a rose, sounds, chimes, wind, hawks, crows, snow. So what you put into your mind on that day, the day before and the day after, is going to be, so you really, what you have is 3 days to prepare. Okay? Does that answer your question, Cash Maui? I often see 11 after the hour, 311, 411. You should add them up to see what they mean. 5, 6, 7, journey, 8, karma. Me and my twin are 3. I know, exactly. The 369 manifestation, the way I do it, and again, there are different ways of doing it, and I'm going to do it again. I did it for 9 days. But the way you do it is you write down 3 things you really want, and you repeat it. And you can actually, 3 paragraphs, you know what I mean? And so of what you really want to experience. And then you repeat it 3 times a day. And the concept of 6 is how many seconds you're looking at it or reading it, which I don't really consciously do, to be honest with you, but I do it for 9 days. 369. And you can revert, if you have more than 3 things you want to experience, you have 6, then make sure that the main aspect is to do it 3 times a day. And this was something that Nicholas Tesla had, it comes from him, 369, that whole idea of 369. It was something that he was actually writing about. And when he died, his journals were confiscated by the government. You got to really pay attention when shit like that happens, because if somebody that powerful, and they really destroyed that man, because if you look at his face from the time he was young to the time he aged, they destroyed him. And Thomas Edison still being taught in school as the guy who did X, Y, and Z, when it's a lie. It's a lie, actually. Actually, all of that is a lie. And it's brutal that we're still teaching that. We're still brainwashing our kids with that garbage. So 369 is what you want to experience. You do it for 9 days. You repeat it. You do it 3 times a day. And you write down what you want as if it's happening now, in present tense. Anything else. So it's really simple. And I bought the 369 Project book. It's not cheap. It's on Amazon. I think it's $27. I bought it because I really love the content of it. Most of these 369 books are kind of crappy. This one is self-published and it's excellent. Really, really. It's called the 369 Project. It's fantastic. That's the one I would recommend if you're going to buy it. Yeah, I'm going to post this video I'm going to post this on YouTube because this was about the light in the dark. And so it's really important for you guys. If you miss this particular live, I'm not saying it to say it, but you should see if I can post this, because I don't know how many hours I've been on it, but I'm going to kind of cut it short in a minute. It's really important that you watch it, because this is going to really help you understand on a deeper spiritual level the twin flame journey, what you need to do, why this is happening, these separations, and why you guys have to be enough into yourself, and all the fine points of it, okay, and what's happening in the world, and the despair people in the spiritual community are having, to the point where they're telling people to prepare for the apocalypse. Okay? Because many of you are gun shy, you're shy, and you don't think you're ready, and you don't think you have anything to say, and it's time you spoke up. Okay? You can still do a makeup tutorial or tutorial in cooking or whatever, right? But you're going to have to add some shit. Like, I'm going to probably soon, I keep saying that, I have a lot to do. I have so much on my plate, you guys have no idea. I'm actually finalizing a book called Recall that I wrote a while back. It was in a small press, and she just refused to do the work for me to be able to actually go out and hustle the book. It was weird. It was a weird situation. She wasn't mean. She just didn't know. She was naive. So I'm self-publishing this book called Recall, about reincarnation, about twin flames, actually, about the unforgivable. It's erotic, and I've got that to do, but I really want to do a channel where I'm going to talk more about spirituality and politics, and the infrastructure we have, and I'm pretty intense about this stuff. And so what I want you guys to try to understand is the infrastructure we don't like, right? It's one of the reasons why you don't want to be here. You want to go home. It's because of the infrastructure. The planet's gorgeous. Look at the waterfalls and the snow-capped mountains and the wild horses, and what's there not to like? It's fucking gorgeous. It's the people that are the problem, the infrastructure. And so we are trying to, in the spiritual community, co-create the new world, the new earth. Read Eckhart Tolle's book, The New Earth. It's been promised. And part of it is the infrastructure that they're trying to build. Yeah, that's not going to work. Does that make sense? So you see how politics is intertwined with spirituality? You can't escape it, because it's messing up our ability to be more spiritually autonomous. 9-to-5 jobs. No, that's crazy. That's crazy. Unless you love your job, you're like in love. You're an architect. You love this. I mean, shit, you do it at 3:00 in the morning. You're up finishing a project because it's your love. That's different. I'm talking about, working these podunk jobs that I've worked when I was a young woman. I've had a lot of jobs. And the feeling of absolute despair. That's why our young people are starseeds who are working at Target or working at, like my son works at a restaurant and those places, right? There's a level of, what the fuck? There's got to be more than this. And they're already asking the right questions at a very young age. And people are calling, oh, they're lazy, they don't have work ethic. No, they're smart. They realize it's bullshit. It's a dead-end job. It's not going to get them the kind of freedom they want to travel, to see the world. They're curious souls, you know what I'm saying? They're starseeds. So that's what you guys need to understand, okay? Is that we have to teach our children better. And where's my YouTube? It's Sacred Intimacy Tarot. Just look that up. I swear to God, it's exactly the same name so that it's easy. We need to love ourselves and work on our shadows. So that's where the YouTube is. The more fear tactics they throw out, the more they get us to manifest that yeah, exactly, Kay. Exactly. The more fear tactics they throw out, the more they get us to manifest that to reality for them. Did you hear that, guys? We're being played. We're being played. Okay? And fear and despair and anger is contagious. You can't watch what's happening in Gaza and not get fucking angry. I just saw children being pulled out of rubble yesterday on TikTok. Okay? That's not okay. Not okay. And I don't know if you guys know that. I'm from Paris. Do you guys know that? I was born in Paris. Okay, you guys don't know why I came to this country, do you? In America. My father was half American and my mother was Parisian, French. I'm going to tell you this story. When I lived in Paris in the 1970s, Palestine, the Palestinians and the Israelites were using Paris as a battlefield. I don't know if you guys know that. And I lived and people who are French know, the 16e arrondissement. It was my grandmother's apartment is in Paris. And that day, for some strange reason, coming out of the 16e, I can tell you the actual address, 26 Avenue Marceau, which is 26 Avenue Marceau, on the show, right? And instead of turning left, which he would have always done with my son, my brother in the baby carriage, she turned, instead of turning right, she turned left, towards the Eiffel Tower, which was far, far away, but you could see it. And within seconds, I kid you not, a car bomb exploded. We would have walked by that car. We would have been killed. And at that point, my mom said, that's it, we're out. Fuck this, we're out. And my father did not want to leave Europe at all. It took him 4 months before he joined us in California. And that's actually got me here. So I've been following this stuff for a long time because it impacted my entire life. In that, it made us leave France, and I love France. I loved France. I was very sad to leave. It was very hard for me to come here. It was a culture shock. So what I'm saying to you is, when you have this happening, vibrationally speaking, it's a wave of energy, of fear, despair, rage, and it is impacting us. You see? So what affects somebody thousands of miles away will impact you, especially if you're an empath. And so while this is happening, while you're in separation with your twin, come out of the closet and talk about your spiritual progression. Talk about your spiritual evolution. Talk about how you're awakening, how you awaken. There are people awakening right now that are scared shitless. They're being awakened in the deep south. I had a young starseed kid. He was 18 years old. Okay? And I was working for a major company, psychic company. So it was like a 30-minute call. He got his $30 for the 30 minutes, that kind of deal. So I couldn't reach out to him because I would have. And he wanted to commit, what? And I had to talk him off the ledge by telling him what he was, a starseed and this and that. And his family, I think it was an African-American family, were all about the Bible, Baptists. And they thought he was possessed by the devil. He wasn't. He was a starseed in the middle of a place that was It was almost like Twilight Zone for him. And so these kids need us. And they need to hear that they're not crazy as they awaken in the deep South or even upstate New York. There are places that, I swear to God, there was a woman that had a metaphysical store in Schenectady, New York. I'll never forget. She said they were, teasing my kids because they were saying I was a witch. It was a crystal shop, for Christ's sake. So there's all kinds of closed-minded people around the planet. Believe me, in France, in Hong Kong, in Ireland, they need to hear your voice. And especially those that are older, in their 40s and 50s, awakening out of the coma, and they need to know they're not crazy. And they need to know it's going to be okay, and there's a purpose for that, right? And so that's why it's so hard for me to look at spiritual people like that woman who just came out and who's a healer, wonderful woman with tears in her eyes saying, pack up, get ready, guys, in May of next year, pack up your stuff and get ready because they're going to, it's over. And I'm here to tell you, no, it's not over. Yes, not an easy task. Well, nothing's easy. That's why we're here. Do you know that when we die, when we drop our bodies and we go to the other side, there are souls that have never been here, never want to be here, never will be here. And they're like, what the hell? How was it? Fuck, it was intense. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it's funny. They're clapping. They're like standing ovation time. They're like, yeah, wow. Tell me all about it. I hear there's wind and there's this thing that you eat and it's dark and people love it. It's chocolate. Oh, yeah, that's what I heard. It's really, if you guys could just see things in all of its majesty and beauty, you wouldn't think it's so hard. Yes, it's hard, but it's harder to go back and to go, you mean I could have done X, Y, and Z? All I had to do was show up? Yep. That's all you had to do is stop being afraid of your own power. Jesus Christ, I didn't do it. I didn't think I was ready. You were ready. We told you we're ready. We gave you signs. We gave you numbers. We're giving you 11, 11, 12, 12, 10, 10, 4, 4, 5, 5. We gave you numbers to tell you were ready, but you're a perfectionist. You were always a perfectionist. That's been one of the things you've had in many of your incarnations. In other words, it's like, when are you ready? And that's the question you have to ask yourself, for not too long, because honestly, you're ready, or else you wouldn't be listening to this. You're ready. Or else you would have ducked out a long time ago on this live to get your, bubble love, tarot reading on Twin Flames. You would not be sitting here listening to me right now if you were not ready. You would be looking for someone else to tell you what you want to hear. So there's courage in you already, that you're listening to shit that's hard to listen to. Trust me. We're all going home. There's no problem. You don't have to worry. You don't have to come back. Many of us aren't. Okay? We will be veterans of this 3D planet. Trust me on this one. Hell, trust yourself. But in the interim, while you're here, all hands on deck. The movie still kind of shows similar to what you were saying. Beautiful. I never want to come back. I'm so scared and worried over it. I feel like we still have responsibility to protect Gaia even if we don't want to be here. Exactly. That's exactly it. The fact that I've been talking to my mom about this journey, she's trying to understand. Beautiful. Ready to step in and really create content that's going to help people find you and find another point of view on your spiritual journey. Ready to talk about how you woke up. Ready to talk about what made you wake up. Ready to talk about how it feels to be an awakened person who's going through the journey of self-realization. How does that feel? What are you reading? What do you think about it? What do other people tell you about? How many people denigrate your journey? Ready for that. It's not weird to say I love you, Tony. You're on fire today. No, it's not. It's not weird to say you love me. I love you too. So speak truth and guide others. Exactly. Yeah, speak your truth and the truth. That's why I reject the word New Age. There's nothing new about it. What's new are religions. These religions have created these shit shows for centuries. That's new. Us, what we believe in, we've always believed in it. And sometimes we forgot it. You see what I'm saying? That's why some of you go to different parts of the world and you're fascinated by certain languages, because that was your past life. Is it bad that I don't have the want to leave here like I hear most people say? It's not bad at all. It shows me that you're a caretaker of Gaia. You're a gardener. You're the gardener. You're the caretaker. You're a guardian. That's why you don't leave here. You're a guardian. What do you do when you feel alone and feel like you have no soul family? You go find them. 1, 2, 3. You go find them. How do you find them? You set up a book club. A transcendental book club, which is the other thing I'm trying to do. I got to do, I'm working on triaging everything I got to do. And one of the things I've got to do is set up a transcendental book club where people join for $10 a year, right? And they can open chapters all over the world. And we can have like major lives, you know, YouTube lives where we talk about the books, and we meet all over the world, and they also meet physically. See, I want these transcendental book clubs to have their own chapters in Ireland, in Sacramento, in San Francisco, in Paris, and they meet physically to talk about the books, but we also globalize it, and we do like, once the book is done, there's a deadline. You have to have the book done by like 6 weeks. I'm talking off my head right now, but 6 weeks you're done with the book, and then we do a major, like a Zoom or where we discuss the books. And we discuss and we invite, maybe it gets so big that we can actually invite the authors of the books, or a speaker, a spiritual speaker. Oh, makes sense, because I have had compassion my whole life for nature and animals and people. Yeah, Kay, you're a guardian. So I think that's why. And you're probably going to be part of the people that escort this planet into 5D. I'm trying to. We're all trying to. That's our job. And what is happening right now is evil. Okay? It's all evil. Okay? I remember when Rwanda had a civil war. It lasted, the slaughter, it was 900,000 people were slaughtered in, I think, 48 hours. I'm not kidding about that. I'm not kidding. And I met a young man from Rwanda who had survived because he had played dead under piles of bodies. He was a young boy. I think he was like 14 years old. This can't continue. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And we have to start, spiritually being aligned with our own powers, to talk about our spiritual awakening, and to also talk about infrastructures and so on, and how all this shit show that is considered normal because it's been going on for thousands of years has to end. And it will end. That's part of the ascension of the planet. You know what people don't realize is when you're a starseed, and I notice this in my hypnotherapy sessions with my clients and my own hypnotherapy sessions and my own downloads as a starseed, is that we do have the same type of little problems. We do get lonely. We do have little issues. We do get triggered. But there's certain things that we do know. We know who we are. And but we don't have this kind of just brutality, to this level of brutality we're seeing. We don't have those experiences, but we have other experiences that are very similar to our human experiences. And in some of our incarnations, we're more logical, less in our hearts, and in some we're more in our hearts and less logical. You see what I'm saying? But we do have egoic issues, but we don't have the amnesia. Does that make sense? So don't think because when you go off on this planet, it's all hunky-dory. No, there's stuff we still have to work out. And sometimes we come in here on 3D with the amnesia. I mean, all of the challenges and the handicaps you can imagine, which, not remember who the fuck you are and where you came from is a big handicap, okay? While you're dealing with trauma being fostered on you by this current life and past lives that are still like around you, there's still that memory. And then here you are going into this incarnation completely fucking clueless of where you came from, who you are. Can you imagine? And then waking up from that with other people saying you're crazy. It's very Twilight Zone stuff. And then what happens is that we have to make right this once. This is our last stand. And throwing in the towel, and I'm not saying don't get ready, don't buy food, don't buy land, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, yeah, of course, be prepared, but also be spiritually prepared. Learn how to work with crystals, learn how to set up a grid work in your if you have land, like learn how to do a crystal grid to protect your property. Does that make sense? and things of that nature. Learn this stuff. There's a lot of knowledge in different types of what they call pagan beliefs, you know. They have a lot of knowledge, you know. But the reason why I don't talk about it is because then people go right into the darkest part of the witchcraft aspect, you know, dealing with blood. At that point, you lost me. And we've had this problem where we use many types of sacrifices throughout the centuries. It doesn't work. I mean, it works, but it doesn't work for long. That's why you got to keep doing it, you see? And we don't want that. The Atlanteans had that problem. We had our crystal brothers and sisters that were doing the right. I'm going to call them crystal brothers and sisters. And then we had our blood brothers and sisters in Atlantis. You see what I'm saying? And that's why eventually it just collapsed. So what I'm trying to say to you is we need to keep in our crystal matrix. Does that make sense? To keep into that beautiful looping energy and to expand that light out. And the first home you want to make sure is solid is your own, within yourself. And then after that, you expand it using this little phone right here that you guys are holding on to, that I'm holding on to bring more knowledge and support to people waking up in Texas and in the middle of Switzerland somewhere and somewhere in Thailand. And they need to hear that they're not going crazy, that actually they're being awakened and their third eye has been awakened. And yeah, the twin flame journey starts that. The sexual journey, it's either a cerebral awakening, a third eye opening, no sex, no touch, none of that. Or it's the kiss. Then it's the sex, root chakra activation. There are many, many Kundalini awakenings. They're not just one. I don't know what people can, I've been Kundalini awake. Yeah, you'll be many times, okay? It'll happen many, many times. And because there's structures to that, there's levels to that. There's level 1, 2, and 3 to put numbers to that. Though there's no numbers, okay? I made it up just to show you that there's levels. Just like you were 10, now you're 20, now you're 30, now you're 40. And every decade you know more. You know what you don't want, you know what you want. Anyway, so I'm aware blood sacrifice isn't good, but why is it demonic? Because you're killing something. That's why. That doesn't want to die, okay? The chicken doesn't want to die. The goat doesn't want to die. The child doesn't want to die. The adult doesn't want to die. They don't want to die. And that's why it's demonic. So how do you remember who you are? Does it just come to me? Because there's a lot I don't know who we are. Well, yeah, it just comes to you, but that's why meditation is part of that journey. That's why you go to a hypnotherapist. So, I mean, that's what I do. I'm a hypnotherapist because I know how powerful this is. So, you know, I remember somebody was telling me there was I used to live on Mariposa, and I knew these people that had what they call fire eaters, goats, right? And they used to take them to Beverly Hills and so on to eat, you know, fallen trees and fallen leaves and all that, right? Anyway, whenever one of the goats would learn how to escape the fence, okay, they would actually kill it. They would actually, and the guy would say to me, I remember the guy was saying to me, well, you know, we surround it with love and we give it energy and then we butcher it. And I went, oh, so you kind of like are doing like a satanic rite. He was like shocked. I go, the goat doesn't want to die. You got a really smart goat. And instead of you like, I don't know, helping it get even smarter, you're going to kill it. You're going to punish it for being smart, for figuring out how to get out of the fence. And you're going to surround it. And you don't think it doesn't know what you're about to do. And he got it, but he didn't get it. It was funny, actually, to me, but sad at the same time because I was pissed off because it's like, you know, if I had land, I would have taken the smart goat and made it mine. But there are all these, and it's kind of similar. It's funny they're telling me to say this. It's funny how that's normalized. And we'll see cows coming out of, you know, jumping out of, you know, trucks and running for their lives. And we all applaud. And, oh, my gosh, she was pregnant. She has a baby calf. Now they live up in the mountains in New York. And it's so great. And she's happy. And they're happy. And they're all happy. It doesn't make sense. So what's happening is that if you're not careful, this war, other wars like it, it'll become normalized in you. You'll become insensitive to it. And not realize, and that's when you're fully asleep. And that's what's happening right now. That's why this woman made that comment. This incredible healer, beautiful soul, is crying, saying, get ready, just you know, it's over. They're not going to save this planet because of the carnage going on right now. So what I'm trying to say to you is, like, take care of your business. Your twin's running. Throw books at them. Throw knowledge at them. Don't throw woman male stuff or woman to woman stuff or man stuff to them. Not now. This is not the time. That's not going to bring them in. The only thing you have is to wake your twin up so you can partner with your twin and walk the rest of your lives together as powerful, as a power couple that creates change, transformation. And if you can't do it with your twin because your twin's hell-bent on losing, then you better do it on your own. Okay? Because at the end, in the long terms, it will benefit you. I kid you not, in this life or the next. And that's where you have to, like, surrender. So could the goat sacrifices during the Islamic holidays? To be honest with you, I'm not going to say that because I don't want Islamic, Christian, voodoo, whatever. What I'm going to say to you is, to me, I'm a vegetarian. That's all I'm going to say. And one of the great things that Prabhupada said about animal eating, he said, when terrorism on humans will not end until terrorism on animals ends. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm really fighting giving up, though I know I have to focus on me. Well, it's not giving up. You guys need to understand, you're not giving up. You're changing how you're approaching your twin and the situation on the planet. You're changing it in ways you've never changed it in other incarnations when you had the experience of being with your twin. Because remember, we weren't always with our twin. We were not always incarnating with our twin. Not always. Quite often not. For hundreds of years, we didn't see our twin. Okay? They were on the other side, and then we'd switch places. Okay? And what's been going on the planet has been going on for thousands of years as well. I said, we get to see it. It's not a rumor. It's not a story told by a traveler. You know, oh my God, you've traveled so long. Would you like bread and water and wine and sit and tell us a story? And the guy tells you a story, what happened, you know, in another village like 1,000 miles away, right? A carnage. This is different now. And we're being asked by the universe to speak our minds and to help in some way on that end. But also we have to help our young starseeds from taking their own lives because they feel like they're going insane. We also have crowds of people in their 40s and 50s and 60s waking up and they're freaking the fuck out. So we have a lot of work to do. You guys who are awakened, you need to make sure that your content is not just about the Billy Idol concert or a football game or whatever, but about why this book changed your world on a spiritual concept. You know what I mean? Like talking about, say, The Power Now. Why is The Power Now such an important book? Why is it important to understand that telepathy is not crazy? Why is it important to talk about the CIA and the KGB doing remote viewing? Okay, I'm not joking. This is, you can look it up. It's not woohoo shit. It's real. So why, if that's real, why is it our societies, as societal norms, literally laughing at someone who says, I can hear your thoughts, and you do, and then they freak out and hate you and resent you and then bully you. You see what I'm saying? This is what's been going on for centuries, but in particular, it's still going on, and many, many people are shutting down. We need more people to be awakened, not less. And when people are ostracized and bullied, they will shut down and regress. They will regress. You've heard of children speaking, and they see a trauma and they stop speaking, right? They literally stop speaking, right? Well, that's what's happening on this planet right now with people who are being ridiculed on their awakening. And they need to know they're not alone. So the more of you start having content like that, the more people will be reached. You see what I'm saying? That's important. That's what I mean when all hands on deck. After my first awakening, I've had less desire to eat meat. Sometimes it makes me sick. Well, I wouldn't eat it at all. Because if it makes you sick, then even sometimes is too many times. Does that make sense? So again, you know, you got to understand, we live in a time where we don't need to eat meat. And when we did eat meat, we would go hunt it. And there was a process to that. And there was integrity behind it. You know what I mean? But you look at India, I think it's southern India, if I'm correct. They centuries centuries and centuries of being vegetarians. They get the milk, they make the butter, the ghee, and the cheese, and so on. Centuries, and they're beautiful. They don't have any problems. There's no problems. So it's not like you need it. But I think it's an incredible line. You are going to eat meat, eat fish, but try to stop eating it. If you're going to eat meat, eat fish, but try to stop it, alcohol too. Well, alcohol, absolutely. But you know what? The first thing for me, I'm more interested in someone not eating meat than not drinking. Because drinking, pot, whatever, alcohol, there's no question that it's toxic as fuck. Okay, we know that. But it's crazy, right? So, but for some people, not eating meat is huge. Persecution from my ex, she uses everything against me, narc abuse. I'm sorry about that. So, anyway, any other questions? I mean, again, when you do ayahuasca, I don't know if you know this, but when you take ayahuasca, a good shaman will tell you not to drink alcohol, smoke pot, and pot, I have no problems with pot, by the way, at all, just to say that. But they tell you not to smoke pot, no kidding, because you want to be clear, not to drink alcohol, not to have sex, and not to eat any animal no meat, no fish, none of that, right? 2 weeks before you go into the retreat. Why? Because you want to clear out all of those toxins and all of those energies and frequencies from your body. Okay? Because I remember one girl actually ate meat, and when she did the ayahuasca, all she saw was blood everywhere. She said, it was a fucking nightmare. Yeah, it's because her body hadn't been prepped. It was a nightmare. People, so that right there should tell you something. Some people need pot because it's better than taking Xanax. They need pot, okay? It calms their nervous system down. The problem with pot is that some people smoke it noon, night, and night. I mean, it's smoking 24/7 damn near. And there are people that have that problem. And not to throw anyone under the bus, you know what I mean? But my problem is eating. So we all have something. I mean, believe me, you can gain weight being a vegetarian. Believe me, it's not difficult. But there's some wonderful foods. I remember when I lived in Switzerland in the 80s, there were some beautiful vegetarian restaurants, Chinese restaurants, Swiss food in its own, actually, for the most part, is pretty vegetarian friendly. Like having when I lived in Europe as a kid, having meat was like it's fucking expensive, So most people actually, so I pretty much kind of grew up more vegetarian than anything. I heard one can telepathically communicate with them. I just fell into this jet. I used it for grounding for a long time. Oh, good. What about eggs? Well, from what I know that Gandhi ate unfertilized eggs, and I think eggs is a good start. You know what I mean? Eat your eggs. But what happened with my body with the eggs is they started curdling. I love eggs. I used to love eggs. I used to love like a Gruyere cheese with tarragon herbs, and oh my God, loved it. But at the end of the day, the eggs curdle, and I can't eat eggs. What do you do if your twin is on a low frequency? Well, you can't follow them in that frequency. Like I said, you got to educate them. You see what I mean? You got to educate them. And they're probably in a low frequency because they might be having depression issues, and they're angry, and usually anger is fear. In front of anger, there's always fear behind it. All right. Well, I'm going to see if I can post this on the website today. Okay, on YouTube. And the YouTube is Sacred Intimacy Tarot. It's the same as this. Go higher, transmute their energy. Dolphins. Are dolphins spiritual? Oh, that was one of your questions. Yeah, are dolphins spiritual? Yes, dolphins are very spiritual, and they are the only difference, and they're telepathic, and they're much more powerful than we give them credit for. And scientists have said that as much, except that we still see them as animals, as mammals, as lower forms of mammals. And to me, that's stupid. They're incredibly incredibly wise. Orcas, whales. There's thing that they do. I think it's in Iceland, or it could also be in some parts of the some parts in Europe where they hunt. In Japan they do it too, where they attack. They kill all these whales. It's like a bloodbath of killing whales. Wrong. People should not do that, and we allow it. They used to, I don't know if you know this, but it was outlawed, but they used to hunt and kill baby seals. So, it is what it is. So we need to be more, I just go to Discord and post my question. How's everything? Okay. So that's what I would do is realize that, when animals are suffering, and when we're desensitized to that, and when we're not sensitive, if we're not sobbing in front of the TV set or whatever, your phone, when you're watching them pulling out babies out of the what they're doing in Gaza, if that doesn't piss you off, if watching a kid carrying cobalt on his head, and he's working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, and he should weigh 20 pounds more, but he's skinny, and he has a life expectancy of 12. If that doesn't piss you off, we know we can change the technology on these phones so that we would need cobalt mining. So and here I am holding a phone. You see what I'm saying? So we have to use these communication tools to change certain things that have been normalized that are brutalizing people. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the things I don't do, I haven't done it for years. I remember I was in English class, in literary class, creating nonfiction, and we had to write an LA Times article about the $7 polo shirt, $7, and how many hands it went through, and what the person who originally made it was paid. And so I'm a big, I will never buy used shoes because of the energy, but I will buy pre-owned clothes. I do it all the time. You know what I mean? So, garage sales, clothes, this, that. I've even bought linens, I swear to God, for the table, beautiful Irish linen. So I try to buy repurposed furniture. I repurpose it. Try to repurpose things, Everything we do right now in these incarnations, as our twin flame is in separation, in your case, is for you to re-pour a new foundation of the next journey of this incarnation that you have right now. So use that time wisely, be mindful, be as transcendental as you can be in your emotions, be honest about your emotions, feel what you're feeling, and then be your own coach to get yourself off your knees. That's going to have to happen. And then be of service to others. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to go. Again, like usual, if somebody approaches you on TikTok saying they're me, it isn't me. If you want a reading with me, if you want life coaching, spiritual life coaching on your career, on anything at all, twin flames, whatever, you go on my website, you go on my link tree, go on my website, sacredwombtemplehealing.com. You can even go on tonybarka.com, actually. I just remembered. Tony Barka will get you to my website, and fill out the intake form, and then we'll talk. We'll talk before we book a reading. I always talk to people before I book a reading. I don't do calandria or calendars and prepaying. I don't do that because I want to talk to you. You know what I mean? I want to talk to you for like 5-10 minutes before we book, as we book, just to get your vibe, and then you can get my vibe and see if I'm good for you. Okay? Because I could do that. I could just put a calendar up and just take in the money. But I'm here also to be of service to you while I pay my bills, as we all have to, right? So if you want a reading, that's how you do it. If you want a hypnotherapy session, it's a Zoom session. It's audio. And same thing, same process. Go on my website, fill out the intake form. Tell me you want to do a past life regression. We'll do it. I'm certified through the Newton Institute method. And we'll go from there. But I am not going to hit you up on TikTok and offer you a reading for $20. That is not me. You're being ripped off. Or $50. I won't do that anyway. I'll never approach you for a reading. Just be careful, okay? Because a lot of these guys are doing it for all kinds of different healers, and it's not okay. Remote viewing is like telepathy. Well, no, it's similar, but it's much more intense. Okay. Thanks, Tony, for your speech today. It was much needed. Yeah, it was like a speech, wasn't it? All right. Been practicing telepathy with another spiritual aligned soul fam. Fantastic. How's that going? So that's really good. All right, beautiful. Any other messages? Thank you. Have a great day. Also, thank you. Tony has never contacted me. Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and ask him. Okay? Because he's calling from Canada, so you need to make sure you have a WhatsApp, okay? You need to make sure you have a WhatsApp, okay? All right. Sending you much love, guys. Take care. Namaste. Be well.